Okay, so welcome everyone to the book club meeting. I am your host, Megan, and I am here with our guest, Asiatu
Lawoyin.
Thank you for that. Lawoyin. I'm going to practice and I'm going to get good at it. I promise. And I found you on Instagram, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I found you. Well, I mean, you were always there. It's not like you were lost, but I didn't discover you either because you already had followers. But I noticed you on Instagram, and I found myself liking every single one of your posts.
Pretty much.
I mean, pretty much like every single post in life that you put up there, and so you're probably like, who is this creepy lady?
Never that.
What is she doing? But yeah, so I love your Instagram page. And then you have a Facebook profile that's public, so people can follow you. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Twitter, and now you have a podcast. And Asiatu has a website called asiatucoach.com.
Yep.
And you do kind of like, why do I want to call it personal training? It's not personal training, it's exercise, but it's like empowerment coaching.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So that's pretty epic. So, all right, tell me what I missed about you.
I do coaching for individuals. I do ally coaching for businesses or entrepreneurs. And I also do coaching of neurodivergent parents of neurodivergent kids. I help with resources, support, and understanding as well.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome.
Coach all the things.
All of the things.
All the things.
I do all of the things. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like growing up, going to school. Obviously, you're an autistic advocate, so you're obviously autistic. Did you always know you were autistic growing up?
No.
Or no?
No. Well, I knew that I knew I was different for sure. I've always felt like an alien or, an outcast or the black sheep in my family and in school for sure. I was bullied horribly in school, a lot in 5th grade.
Middle school sucks.
Yeah, it was elementary school, and then middle school was pretty much, it got better because I went to an all-girls school for middle school, but the bullying was more so this boy in 5th grade and his crew, basically. And then I switched schools. I went to another school, private school, that was public. Then I went to private school for 1 year, a private Episcopalian school for 1 year. And then I went to an all-girls school from 7th grade to half of 10th grade because I hated it. And then I went to
over this.
Another high school. Well, I didn't mind that it was all girls. It was just super white, super racist, super problematic, and very classist. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm out. I can't take it anymore. And then I graduated from another high school, which was co-ed, smaller, artsy, creative, in the heart of like DC. And my graduating class was like 35 kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was a completely different experience. As far as the autistic perspective, I always knew I was different, always called weird. I didn't associate my weirdness with autism. I thought it was more so because I grew up in predominantly white areas. And so to the black kids, I was, too white or white sounding or an Oreo, all the names. And to the white kids, I was still the black girl. So I just felt like I didn't fit anywhere. And I thought that it was more so, that was the main root of it. When now looking back, I realized there was also an added layer of me being autistic as well and struggling with like social connection and social cues. So yeah. I
can't remember who was on recently, and they said kind of the same thing. Like they knew they were different, but they were already so othered growing up in a white school and with white, they were already so othered that it was just like, I just figured it was that.
Yeah. I just figured it was because I was black and quirky and weird and kind of nerdy. And by kind of, I mean really. was nerdy, definitely nerdy. I always was able to find at least one or two people though that like, you know, I connected with and, you know, I had friends, but it was always like I still never felt like I fit anywhere. And then I wasn't diagnosed until last year. I read a Facebook post actually that the co-host of my podcast, Mary, she actually posted something last year that was a list of autistic traits. I think it was Autism Googles. Goggles.
Yeah.
Not Googles,
Yeah.
Goggles. That made a post about, I think like 12 or 13 traits of autism specifically for girls and women. And I was like, of the ones listed, they all applied to me. And I was like, holy shit, am I autistic? I was like, whoa, okay. So then I went down the rabbit hole, of course, being autistic. Autism became my special interest. And then in October of last year, I got medically diagnosed. And then from there, it's been a joyous, wonderful journey.
How easy was it for you to get diagnosed? I mean, from what
it was easy for me in the sense that I waited until I found the right therapist.
You knew already that it was going to be a struggle. Yeah.
Yes. So finding my therapist was the difficult part. Once I found my therapist, getting diagnosed was easy because my therapist is a Black autistic. So I just happened to find a unicorn.
I was just about to say a needle in the haystack there.
Yeah. So, yeah. So Black, trans, man, autistic.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was just like, jackpot. I don't even know. But it took me, I think, like 3 or 4 attempts at going, like talking to different therapists and different groups. And they were either said they weren't seeing patients at the time because of COVID, or they said that, you know, they didn't really have any experience with autism specifically in women. And I was like, I'm not going to waste my time. So yeah, but once I found him, it was easy, clearly, but finding him was not easy at all. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you did. I mean,
me too, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I was diagnosed with other neurodivergence as a child. I will say that. I was diagnosed ADHD, anxiety, depression, auditory processing disorder, and some other learning disabilities when I was in puberty. So I think like towards the end of high school. So I knew I had that neurodivergence. It's just nobody thought to think of what was the root cause of everything. So I kept on getting just more random diagnoses without people putting the picture and the pieces together to know that like, oh, wait, she's autistic. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Gosh, sorry, I was muted. I hear that a lot, especially from women, where they'll say, you know, in high school or like after puberty, like I was diagnosed with ADHD or I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, bipolar, personality disorders. I forget, the list goes on and on. Eating disorders. And it's like all of these things.
Basically, it's like they go around the obvious, like every which way. Yeah. So yeah,
going around the point, and yeah,
multiple therapists. I went to multiple therapists, and not one of them ever suggested or even thought of autism. Yeah,
I'm hoping that is like gonna change sometime.
I think we're trying. I mean, we're definitely out here trying to change it. And by we, I mean like the community and our advocates. It's just a matter of combating like the system that is the education system, which is constantly putting out, you know, wrong information or outdated or antiquated information. So
yeah, for sure.
We're trying, but it's hard when, you know, even therapists don't even know, you know, what the true spectrum of autism and what it looks like. So it's kind of hard to then say, hey, you know, I think I'm autistic. And they're just like, yeah, you don't match all these traits that I have right here. And it's just like, what? Okay. So
it's like the doctors are only getting the medical model, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Exactly. Ableist, classist, racist, misogynistic, like it's just all the isms and all mixed up in one. Like the education system in and of itself. Like even before, I have a friend now who's currently in school getting his master's to become a psychologist in California. And when I told him that I suspected that I was autistic before I got my diagnosis, even he said, based on what he was taught, that it would be very surprising if I was, because it doesn't match what he's currently being taught right now. And I'm just like, oh, like it's so frustrating. So yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I know. And I have a couple of friends who are in advocacy programs, and one of them is in like a fellowship with doctors the doctors are in the fellowship, and she's in the fellowship with them as an autistic adult. And she's like, I just want to scream sometimes because they're giving like this information that like I know is not true.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Listen to us. Like, listen to autistic people. Yeah.
Exactly.
We have so many comments. Okay, hold on. Yes, jackpot therapy for real. Like where did you find this jackpot therapy?
Which is interesting because I found him through Facebook. And so like Facebook has just connected me to so many people in so many different ways. So another person who was autistic had suggested their therapist, which was my therapist at the time. So yeah. Oh, and speaking of which, he is licensed to do diagnosis within the United States, and takes some insurances, and even without insurance is actually really reasonable. So if anybody is looking for a diagnosis, feel free to just message me on any of my social media and I can give you his information, because he's amazing.
Wow.
I'm always referring people to him. So yeah.
Wow.
All telehealth sessions. So
wow.
Yeah.
Like I just got chill bumps because I know that some people are like, okay, let me get these links real quick.
Yeah. I think even without insurance, I think it's around like $200 to get, as opposed to like the thousands that you'll see from specialists and stuff. And again, he's autistic as well. So, you're not going to get that invalidation of you don't match, the traits because you're not a little white boy.
Right. And I mean, and honestly, there's not enough representation of anybody that's not a white man in the medical community, right? There's not enough people
or
of color.
Even in autism, in the autism community, even our representation in mainstream media and entertainment, it's always like a little white boy, like the A word, or it's atypical, a white guy, or it's, the good doctor, another white guy, or, you know what I mean? And the list goes on. Or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. Oh, surprise, a white guy. It's just like, there's so many other people who are, autistic that actually, would love the representation, but it's always white men or white boys. And it's just really frustrating because there's so much intersectionality that's not addressed, and it's like, I made a post the other day. I can't use noise canceling like headphones because I don't feel safe anywhere. And so as a Black person, I can't be out in public and not be aware of my surroundings, even in my own house, because that shit happens all the time to Black people anywhere. We're not safe anywhere. So I don't have the luxury of having the noise canceling stuff because it actually triggers my anxiety, because then I'm just constantly wondering, what am I missing, or what's going to happen, or if something bad happens, I'm a space cadet and not even paying attention. So
yeah, even though you need the noise canceling headphones, like you're just gonna have to tough it out because it's just not safe. You have to know, you have to be aware of your surroundings
all the time, wherever I am. And it's not to say that I live in a neighborhood by any means that, I don't feel safe. But again, like, you just being a Black person, you just never know. The cops could be called and, on my neighbor next door and something happens. The wrong house. Exactly. So I'm just not comfortable in to not know what's going on in my surroundings at all times. So, and I'm already basically a space cadet. So I'm already just checked out a lot of the time. So I need all the inputs to keep me grounded. Otherwise, I'm just in my own little world.
It's so important to hear that. It's so important for people to like to wrap their minds around like, I mean, that it brings me to the whole thing about masking, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, us saying like, you know, take the mask off and be your true selves. But I mean, Black and brown people don't have that luxury.
No,
a lot
we
of
don't.
times. I mean,
we don't at all. Another thing is, you know, we're perceived as aggressive. And so all the time, no matter what we're doing. So being autistic and being, you know, outspoken about things or getting excited about things or passionate about, you know, discussing something, it's always perceived as being aggressive as opposed to me just being excited or passionate about what it is that I'm speaking. So it's like, oh, there's the aggressive Black girl. Like, really? No, or if I raise my voice, which I do a lot, if I'm passionate or emotional in any way, and it's not a matter of like, I'm angry, I'm just literally expressing myself. But because I'm autistic, everything I feel is to the nth degree. So it's going to come out, you know, as something intense, but it's not, you know, you can't compare it to neurotypicals because it's not the same.
Yeah.
But I'm, you know, automatically have an attitude or automatically am like, whoa, calm down. You don't have to get
before
so
you
mad.
even start. I mean, before you even, like just your presence alone.
Yep.
Before you even like open your mouth. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We have so many comments. I have to get to them. You know
okay.
it. Now I have to go back up. Amy said that, learning so much more every day about the medical model has literally seeped into every corner of education. I mean, it is damaging. And this is for you giving that offer about your doctor. I told you somebody's watching thinking, oh my gosh, yes, I need somebody like that. Me too. I'm in love with the chick. Me too.
That's my co-host to my podcast.
Oh, yeah. I can't see the thumbnail that well. Oh, yes. I did. I watched a little bit of the podcast, but I didn't want to watch too much because I didn't want to I don't know. I didn't want to watch too much right before our show.
I
don't know why that is. Like when I'm writing a blog, like I don't go and read other blogs while I'm writing because I don't want to
It makes sense. I'm the same way. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it is so true. Oh, somebody said the new character on Daniel Tiger is a little Black autistic boy. Oh, you know, I heard about that. And that's
so cool. I did not know that.
Yes, and I think that they casted a Black autistic boy to like do the voiceovers or whatever. I think. Don't quote me on that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Is just representation is, you know, authentic representation, I should say, because it's not enough just for us to be represented, but we need to be represented authentically. And that's the problem.
For sure. Somebody said our comments are a little ADHD today. we're all ADHD in here. Okay. I told you people were going to come in here. I came in here to hide. If you're just tuning, oh my gosh, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is not my normal room that I'm in. And I was hiding because my house is like super chaotic today. And I told her that they were going to find us. Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all go. Oh my gosh. All right. This is classic. All right. Let me go to my notes. Okay. That's the third time my light got turned off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I need to have my comments. All right. Talk to us about.
They're so cute.
Bye, y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Plug my light in. This is my norm. This is my life every day. Thank you, DJ. Bye. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're back.
Your kids are really cute, by the way.
Celebrity guest. I know, right?
I love the giggles. Oh, the giggle is so cute.
This is, if you're wondering, I wonder what Megan's life is like. That is what my life is like on a typical day. Okay. It's fun and loud. Okay. I'm always faking during my book club meetings. I'm like, okay, make sure you watch the kids. Don't let them come down. Y'all be quiet. All right. Okay. So I want to talk about do you call it AFAB?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
AFAB. Mm-hmm.
Tell us what that means. Hold on. I'm going to see how you said it. Talk about being AFAB. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes. So AFAB stands for assigned female at birth. So I grew up being a girl, but I don't identify. I identify as agender. So I don't identify as a woman. So
what pronouns do you use?
They and them. Yeah. So it's part of the trans umbrella for any trans being anyone who doesn't identify as the gender in which or sex they were in which they were born. So I never felt, I think because I have such a strong sense of justice and equity, which is common amongst autistics. I don't like the concept of gender because of, systemic patriarchy and misogyny. So, and then I just never identified as a girl per se. Like I was never really a girly girl, much more so a tomboy. I had older brothers. I have one brother who's 17 months older than me. So we basically did everything, together. And I talked about this on the podcast, but like, I remember the moment where my brother could be shirtless and I couldn't as a child. And
that is not fair.
I was so enraged. And like, I literally remember like it just happened yesterday, just how pissed off I was. Cause I was just like, he's only 18 months older than me. Like, what the hell? Like, why can he do it and I can't?
He was older? Did you think it was like?
Well, my mom tried to explain because he was a boy, but it didn't make sense to me. Like, I'm just like, so the fuck what? Like, okay, he's a boy and like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And so that was one of the first times that I like remember distinctly not really identifying with gender and just being confused and frustrated. And then when I got older and I went to Spelman and I became, I had a degree in sociology and I was taught that, gender is a social construct. I was like, oh, well, no wonder it didn't resonate with me because it's just, society rules and stuff, which
they
again,
taught
later
you that in college?
Oh yeah. I was a sociology major at Spelman, and Spelman being an all Black women's college, like we talked about everything.
I am so impressed right now.
Yeah. We talked about like sociology from every basically perspective, from Asian, from Black, from woman. It was an amazing education. Like I loved, that was one of the sociology was when I actually loved school. Like for the first time, I fell in love with actually learning. Because going back to what you were saying earlier, like I hated school, just for the record. No aspect of school did I like. I fucking hated it. And I would have anxiety. I had anxiety so bad that in kindergarten, I was suicidal. And
no, pause on that. Pause for a second.
And people just like, well, how do you know you were suicidal when you're in kindergarten? And I was like, I can tell you because at the time, I believed in God. I'm atheist now, but I would pray to God that I wouldn't wake up because
Yeah,
I didn't want to
don't
go to
wanna
school the
be here
next day.
anymore.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to school because school was overwhelming, and the sounds and the kids and the lights and the socializing. I hated school. And I would also try to like suffocate myself with a pillow. And when I was in the bathtub, I used to try to hold my breath to see like if I could just not be here anymore. So yeah, and that was in kindergarten. And it didn't get any better.
To feel like that ever.
Yeah, it didn't get any better because then there was more social norms, there was more work, there was more stuff I didn't understand, and then there was bullying on top of it. So yeah, I hated school. And then I didn't like the demands of having to be someplace at some time and, the structure of it. And I think that's where it differs. Having autism and ADHD is different in that sense, whereas autistic people tend to like routine and thrive in routine. And I do to an extent, but it has to be within my control and my power. So I can implement structure for myself, but if it's externally opposed on me, like, then I hate it. So if I make the schedule and I decide when I want to do stuff, I'm totally cool. The second someone says you have to and this is what you have to do, yeah, no, I'm just like, that's not cool. I don't like that. That doesn't feel good. So yeah.
Okay, I have comments on things that you're saying. Yay, another person using they, them. Hello, hello. With the cat ears at the bottom.
No.
And let's see. My youngest fluid and non-binary. Oh. I can't hide my real life. Y'all. I can't hide it. It's not that I show it. It's just that it will not stay hidden.
Which is awesome.
There's so many comments. Let's see. Oh. Did you talk about the construct of whiteness?
Or, yeah.
There's like a thing. What is that called? It's like I
guess it's systemic white supremacy.
Yeah, like I do you follow Lavette Jallo on she's on Twitter. I'm not sure what pronouns they might be they. But they were born in Ghana and moved to Sweden. And if you know anything about Sweden, there's like it's like one of the whitest places on earth.
Yeah, super white.
Yeah, so I listened to a lot of her stuff, and there's like she talks about like the construct of whiteness as a thing.
Yeah,
and
it's the standard.
Learning about that is just it's
definitely the standard. It's why I would dream as a little girl that I had like blonde hair, blue eyes, because I was raised around a whole bunch of white kids, and that was the standard and that was the beauty. I remember wanting to change my name because I was so tired of people mispronouncing it, being teased for it. And I was just like, I just want an easier name. I'm so glad my mom was like, hell no, because I love my name now. And I definitely grew to love it. And like to the point where when I thought I wanted kids, I was just like, if I had a little girl, like I would name her Asiatu. That's how much I love my name. But yeah, I'm child free and will forever be child free. But yeah, I love my name now, and it's just so powerful and empowering. It is annoying still to this day that it's spelled wrong or mispronounced, but yeah, I love it, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is so off. We are so off track. Okay. I'm like the same way. Like I will mispronounce people's names, but I think that it's important for people to just keep trying, right? Yeah, I mean, exactly. We have to train our tongues, and it's like that is your name, and that you're gonna learn my name.
Exactly.
Damn it.
Exactly. And I'm like that now. It took me years and years and years to be comfortable to, constantly like assert myself and say, yeah, no, you're saying it wrong. Because a lot of the times I would just let people say it wrong because I felt uncomfortable, constantly correcting them. And I'm already perceived, misperceived as someone who's pessimistic or, always seeing the negative of things and misunderstood. And so it's just like, I'd rather just not say anything. Whereas now I'm just like, I can't shut up. So I'm just going to just keep talking until stuff changes because I can't stand it. And so much needs to change. And I'm going to keep talking until it does, until my last breath.
Well, and it sets a great example for our younger kids, right? Yeah. I mean, you're setting a fantastic example. You're not saying, okay, well, yes, I'm always like the difficult one, so I'm just going to be quiet. No, you're showing like girls that are growing up, or not just girls, but kids growing up. Thank you. That no, you don't shut up because people don't want to say your name right? Like, no, you just demand that. Yeah, you
keep practicing.
Just keep practicing.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Like, I don't mind if you say it wrong as long as you are open to being corrected.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, like you said, it'll just naturally happen. But it's just those people that are just like, oh, well, do you have a nickname? No, I don't. Like, you're going to either, it's Asiatu. That's my nickname. So either say that or I'll just call you Asi. Okay, you can call me that, but I'm not going to respond to you.
I'm not going to answer to that
because that's not my name.
You Asi.
You can do whatever you want, but I'm just letting you know it's just not going to get a response from me. So I hated that too. Asi. Yeah, white girls always wanted to shorten my name to Asi, and I'm just like, no, it's not happening.
Ellie said, that's what I say about my kids too. I don't mind if you butcher it the first time, but don't ask me for no dang.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I would rather you continue to like just keep practicing it and getting corrected than to say, like, can I just call you something else? Why do you think that that's okay? Like, who would, the audacity of telling somebody, yeah, I don't like what you call yourself. I'm going to call you something different. Like, what the fuck? Like, really?
Like, bro, that's not my name.
Exactly. Like the audacity to sit up there
that's
and
the whole point of a name, right?
Exactly.
It is the point of the name. Is for you to call me that. Oh my gosh. Well, one of my older boys has a name that it's not hard to pronounce, but it's spelled not unphonetically. It's not phonetically spelled.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, announcers at the football game will call him like his name is Tamari, right? And they'll call him Tomorrow or like Tayamoru and like
how's it spelled?
Oh gosh, I don't want to put that out there on in the general public, but yeah, it's just not phonetically spelled. It's not. Okay. But like that's his name.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you're like an announcer, you're supposed to actually make sure that you're announcing shit properly and correctly. That's just like
he actually does go with a nickname now, but not because of that. It's just that all his friends just call him that. So, but
which is fine if he chooses it. I have a family nickname, but I'm not putting it out publicly. And if you ain't in my family, you know, like, so yeah, that's different. But yeah, you can't. Very rarely can you grow up in a Black family and not have a nickname.
Right? Yeah, he has a nickname. So I mean, but it's not because nobody can pronounce his name.
Yeah, exactly.
A whole different subject. Okay, I have a question for you about your process of being non-binary. Okay, so if you're listening today, I have an extra. We're doing like a impromptu live on my big page tomorrow for the book Sincerely Your Autistic Child, and we have like 3 people coming on tomorrow. 4 people, I think. 4 contributors and editors of the book. And they were like, can we talk about this tomorrow? And it's not a phenomenon, but of course I'm going to find the biggest word ever to
the trend.
Yeah. So like there's a high percentage of autistic kids.
Oh, yes.
Right? are also gender diverse in some way, right?
Yep.
And there is a high percentage, and it's obvious in the autistic community, like there is a high percentage of autistic people who are gender diverse.
Yep.
And, you know, a lot of people like to shy away from that topic, but I know that there are parents and educators right now who are going through that with their children, and they don't know what to do. Like, there's a lot of stigma with that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of stigma, and especially in the Black community, right?
Yes.
Like,
there's a lot of transphobia in the Black community. It's rampant. And a lot of that goes back to Christianity and religion, which is one of the many reasons why I'm atheist. But yes.
So tell me how was your process? How did your parents take it? Did you care? Like, tell me all of the things about
I honestly haven't told like my family, just because I've already was annoyed with the fact of how they dealt with finding out that I'm autistic. So I'm just like, I just don't care enough to go down that road. But as far as my friends and as far as publicly, you know, I actually came out agender last year. But there is something called Adhd, which basically is specifically addressing what you said as far as being autistic and the autism having such a huge impact of how we self-conceptualize that it can't be separated, which I believe that AUTIGENDER, Adhd.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, because there's so many of us. And I think it's just at the root, we don't adhere to social norms, especially if they don't make sense. Like if it's not logical or practical or both, then in our minds, it's just why it's not valid. Just like the same concept of respect and, you know, respect your elders. I used to hate that shit as a kid. Like, why? I was like, what if
You're
my
not
elders
being very respectful to me?
Exactly. And I was like, what if my elder's an asshole? Like, I'm not going to respect and I don't care who you are. If you don't respect me, or if I don't feel like you're respectful to other people or are good in character or kind, I don't care if you're old, young, everything in between. I don't care if you're my grandmother, my aunt, my uncle. I don't care. I'm not going to respect you. And that's a very typical neurodivergent, you know, perspective to have, because we want equity and we see everybody as equals. Like, we don't see children, the hierarchy of parent and child. We don't see, you know, gender of, you know, man, woman, and, you know, patriarchy. Like, we see it, but it doesn't make sense to us. So we're not going to adhere to something that doesn't make sense to us. So it's basically equivalent to telling somebody 1 + 1 is 3. Like, no, it's not. So you can believe that if you want, but I'm going to go over here and know that 1 + 1 is 2. And that's the same concept. Like, gender is a social construct. And people who don't understand that are just like, well, no, you know, they try to use sex as to say like, well, men and women react differently to different things because of, you know, biology. And no, the reality is that men and women react to different things because of socialization.
Right, they're taught, like,
We're taught,
boys are taught not to cry, boys are taught not to sew, not to hold that baby doll.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you are one who ascribes to the gender binary, then to me, the gender binary is also very much interconnected with white supremacy. But the reality is you can't pick and choose what parts of the binary you want to agree with and not agree with. So if you don't agree with the fact that, you know, men are incapable of emotions, or women can be more than, you know, just nurturers, then, you know, you can't have this mentality that, you know, women are supposed to submit to men in relationships, or, you know, that women should dress a certain way to be modest, because that's all rooted in the same mentality and the same binary, and which is why it's problematic. So, I mean, we clearly know women are just as good at math as men are. Like, we know that men can be just as nurturing as women can be. So if we took out the socialization, I think we would find as a society that, you know, there would be way more equity as far as expression and reactions to things, as opposed to the way that it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then people don't realize socialization starts in utero. literally in utero. So the moment that someone says, oh my gosh, I really hope I have a girl, or oh my gosh, I really hope I have a boy, or gender reveal parties where the baby isn't even here yet. And
hold up, I'm sorry. Did you see that the first gender reveal party that was ever done, like that went viral? Did you see the story about that?
About the woman who did it, I think that it went viral. She has a non-binary child now, which I think is just so ironic. And she has been saying for years to stop doing the gender reveal parties, but it's already taken off and been a trend. But I thought that was awesome that she came full circle to realize that it wasn't.
Isn't that just like the most ironic and like
it's
best
awesome
story ever? Like now she's like the first one to do a gender reveal party, like that went viral, and then it's like her kid is, you know, as it turns out.
Exactly. And so people just like, oh, well, you know, I'm like, socialization happens even before we get here, or even as newborns. You have people like, oh, her hands are so cute and so delicate, or oh, he, you know, has these big football hands. You know, he's gonna be good at sports because he got big, strong hands. He's a fucking baby. like it's fucking stupid, man. Like, stop. Like, no, it's just a newborn. It's just a baby with, you know, a bunch of cells came together and created a child, and that's it. Like, it's not deeper than that. It's not more than that. It's just a fucking baby, and hopefully a cute one.
Oh my God, I cannot with you.
I mean, it's just stupid. That's how illogical it sounds to us. This whole concept of gender, it's stupid.
You're gonna make me cry in here.
It's just a baby. It's just a little baby, witty bitty baby, and it's fine, and it'll be
so hilarious. That is too hilarious.
So yeah.
Bobby said in the UK, neuroqueer is the term.
Ooh, nice.
I'm gonna write that one down too. I think I heard that one before.
I've heard neuroqueer too. It's not quite as common over here.
Are they synonyms?
I believe so.
I'm gonna send an email to thesaurus.com and get them to add these. We'll see if they show up anytime soon. Yeah, these are like super helpful explanations. This is great. I know, right? It's hilarious. Oh, hold on, here it is.
It's a fucking baby. You want that on a shirt. That's awesome. It's a fucking baby, man. It's just a baby.
It is.
It's just a baby.
Oh my God. Yeah, and like you're putting all of these like demands on the baby.
Demands on a baby. They just got here. They literally just got here. Like, let them just be a baby. That's why I really like this trend of parents not revealing and, you know, not saying anything to people and just allowing the baby just to be. And I think that's wonderful. And then it goes to like the whole gender clothes things. How do clothes have a gender?
Oh,
why?
Do. They definitely do. It is.
Like, that's so stupid. All the pink is for the girls and all the blue is for the boys, which wasn't even the case historically. Like, blue was actually for girls too, I believe, and pink was also like, it wasn't until they did it in hospitals for like the baby blankets and stuff that the association got connected to it. So I'm like, and that's what I tell people as far as the socialization. If gender wasn't a social construct, it would be continuous in every culture, every time period, every situation, if it was based on biology, because our biology hasn't changed. We've always been the same. But the reality is, if you look at different cultures, if you look at different time periods, like the concept of what a man was in the 20s or 1400s or 1600s is completely different than what the concept of a man is now, and same for women. Mm-hmm. So it's fluid because it's based on societal standards, which makes it a social construct, which is why it's not based on anything except majority belief and perception. Which is why it's stupid. Like, it's just dumb. It's just so stupid. I don't like it.
Said red. Everyone should just wear red.
Yes.
Just wear red.
Red, yes.
My family got mad because we didn't do a gender reveal. Good. Families are like hard. Families are cutthroat, aren't they?
They're the worst. They are the worst.
Yeah, it's always, money is always in there somewhere.
Yeah, men wore pink. Yes, Bobby, yes.
My youngest told me he loves history of colors. Men wore pink. We messed it up by gendering colors.
It's BS. I completely agree.
My older son, well, one of them, he loves to wear pink. Like,
it's starting to come back now. It's a fucking color.
It's like a pretty color. Yeah.
It's a color. The irony is, me growing up, I always hated pink because it was associated with being a girl. And to this day, like, I love pink, but I don't wear it because my association with it automatically is like, it's a girly color. And which is stupid because it's just a color, but it's hard to deprogram yourself sometimes. It's definitely something I'm still working on and will forever be working on because I've had a whole lifetime of it being, programmed into me.
So back to my original question. We seem to be veering off track all the time.
That's how my mind works. I'm all over. I'm everywhere.
We're totally okay with it. Okay, so if you were talking to a parent right now that their kid has mentioned to them, I think I'm a boy, or I don't know what the conversation would go. Like, if a kid was saying like, well, I don't feel like a boy, or like, I don't, you know what I mean? If they're like, if they're hinting at it and kind of fishing, because, kids get it too. Kids understand that there's like, what would you say to the parents? Like, what do you think they should do? Because
listen, number one, listen, fucking just listen. Don't try to control. Don't try to change. Just listen. Let your kid tell you who they are because they know who they are. And I wish that was more the norm of parents, because for the longest it has been this hierarchy of parent and child. And I know, as an adult, better because you've had more life experience. Therefore, it invalidates what the child is saying. And because I said so, coming out from parents and stuff, like, no, especially with neurodivergent kids, because we have that keen sense of justice and equity, that doesn't work for us. Because you said so, okay, and like, that's not going to help. You have to explain why, but you also have to listen, educate yourself, talk to other non-binary people in the community.
Okay, so educate yourself. Where would a parent go to find these resources? Like, they don't want to go to like the wrong place, because
I'm one.
I'm
definitely one. Okay. My co-host Mary Moybio, she does the same work, and she herself is also non-binary. But yeah, go to the source. If you want to know anything specifically about anybody, any group of people, anything you don't know, go to the source. If you want to learn about racism, go to Black people. If you want to learn about non-binary, go to trans people. If you want to learn about patriarchy, go to women. So like, just go to the source. Don't read what, is just the general, but literally just go to the source and ask multiple sources and multiple people so that you know that the sources in which you're being suggested are actually valid and authentic representations of those people. So yeah, I'm definitely a source. You can go to Asiatu.com, or you can shoot me a message, Asiatu Coach on IG, or look me up on Facebook. Like, I'm always open to getting people in the right direction, always. Like, anytime, any situation, whether it's autism, if you're wondering if you're autistic or ADHD or you're whatever the case is, and you need resources and information, I have no problem giving them to you at all, anytime.
Isn't that so simple though? Just go to the source. Isn't that simple?
You would think.
but no, I know it is so simple. Yet
so
it is
simple,
so
but yet
not what we do. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We literally do not do that.
It's because of privilege. It's because the systems of privilege invalidates the perspectives of those who aren't deemed the standard. So just like men mansplain to me sociology all the time. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I literally do this for a living. I have a degree. I've been doing it for years. and you're still arguing with me that gender is a social construct. Like, really? Like, really? And would you do the same to a man that you know that isn't, an expert in their field? And if they said something, would you then sit up there and, have the same debate about what they're saying? Probably not. But because I'm a Black woman, or not, even I misgender myself, because I'm a Black person, like,
because you see me as a Black woman.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what you are. That's what you're going to be to them, because
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I'm like, it's ridiculous. I recently lost a friend because I literally told him, I was just like, I'm done having this argument and you're just wrong. And he couldn't handle it. And I was just like, wow, men's egos are so fragile. Like, they're so fragile. But yeah, he couldn't handle the fact that I told him he was wrong. And I'm just like, and I try to explain, like, if I was coming to him and his, business and professional, like, would he then have that same reaction? Like, how would it make him feel if he's in the entertainment field? And I was like, if I came to you and I said, I know more about the entertainment field than you, that's what you do for a living, like, how would that make you feel? Like, you have to connect the dots. Like, it's illogical. Like, it's literally illogical.
But I do understand, like, how, okay, so if you had a kid that was hinting at or something about being somewhere under the trans umbrella, right? If you had a kid that was hinting at that, I do understand as a parent, like, the knee-jerk reaction to want to suppress that, right? I do, like, I'm not saying do that. I need a asterisk up here. Like, I'm not saying to do this. I'm saying I do understand as a parent the knee-jerk reaction, just knowing how or thinking that that's going to make their life harder, right? Is that true? Has it made your life harder, or have?
See, I hate that excuse, because to me it's an excuse to comfort their feelings, not prioritize and center the feelings of their child. So
talk more about that for me.
So for example, in reference to autism and getting a diagnosis, some parents are like, well, I don't want them labeled. They're going to have more difficulty in life if they have a label, and people are going to perceive them, negatively, or whatever the case is. And I'm just like, but whether the child has the label or not, that's who they are. So all a label does is give language to your child, and gives languages to your child's feelings and experiences that they've been having, they're going to have, and they always will have. So I didn't know I was autistic, but I always felt autistic. And I didn't even have the language of what it meant to be a gender, but I always knew that I was. So all language does is it gives a voice, and it gives a explanation, and it gives validation to what it is they already know to be true. So if your child has ADHD, they still most likely going to be labeled by the teachers as disruptive, problematic, hyperactive, and they just don't have the proper medical label. So why not give them a label in which that they know that is acceptable, that gives explanation to, that they can feel connected to, that validates who they are? Because, like I said, they already know. I already knew I was different. I've always felt like an outsider. I always knew that I had, felt like I was a black sheep. I always knew that there's certain things, that jokes and stuff that just totally went over my head, or that people were laughing at me and they were laughing at me, not with me, because I didn't get what was going on. I didn't understand. And the list goes on. Same with a non-binary child. Like, they know their feelings are who they are. They already are who they are. And so you either have a choice to either support them and learn and give them resources to feel powerful and proud of who they are, or you can try to, suppress who it is they are. They end up resenting you, end up getting depressed, end up being suicidal, because you can't accept who they are and who they've been telling you that they are. So I think the big thing is go to the resources, go to the source, but also talk about it with your child, age appropriate books and things of that nature, and, celebrities and people who are in the community, that they can relate to, that they can see like, oh, well, they're just like me. So, I mean, that like stuff like that, like just allow them to find pride and comfort in their own skin. And I'll say lastly, having a community and a support system changes so much. Like my entire life, not knowing I was autistic and feeling like nobody understood me, feeling like I didn't fit in anywhere, not in my family, not in school, not in social settings. But when I found my autistic community, it was like I came home, because I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to, they don't perceive me as a pessimist. They are open to learning, and, I'm okay with and love and embrace them as they are, and they do the same for me. And all the quirks and the stuff that I used to get issues for or bullied for is valued in the autistic community. So it's like I literally found home, and the whole info dumping and the special interests and all of that like was welcomed and supported. So if your child is different, if they have you, if they have family, if they have a support and a network that you create, a village where they feel that no matter how the world treats them, they can come to for comfort and support and love and compassion, then it won't matter what the outside world does. It won't matter how they're perceived, because they know who they are, and they know that there's a place in this world where they can be their authentic selves and be loved and valued and appreciated. And that means more than anything to a kid. Kids know who they are. I just wish parents would just listen. I knew who I was. I knew I was different. Just listen. Just listen to your kids. Just support them. Support them and give them the language and the words and the resources to know that they're not alone. That's the key.
And I love, somebody said up here, I can't find it anymore, but somebody did say, recognize that you're the one who's afraid.
Exactly.
I don't know, I can't find it anymore. Somebody said to recognize that your reaction to that is because you're afraid of it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, if that's them trying to appease their emotions, not centering the child's emotions and who they are. So yeah, get your kid diagnosed. Please get your child diagnosed. And not only that, a diagnosis legally protects them. So then there are laws to support them. Or if anything were to happen to them, God forbid, or a teacher, is invalidating them, you have grounds, to stand on to get help for your child, because a lot of teachers are ableist, a lot of teachers are problematic. And if you have a diagnosis and you have the language and you have the support of a therapist or, friends, family, therapists, medical, backing, you're much more likely to get a response than if you're just sitting up there, complaining about your child. And legally, they have to support you in certain ways. So
it opens those rights as well. Yeah.
It gives access to, it protects them. A diagnosis not only helps them feel good about themselves and it opens doors to a whole community, but it also protects them. So
There was did you see the one with the interview with Ross Green?
Mm-mm.
So he came on and he was talking about how as a professional, he was saying that he said something about like he doesn't I forget what he said. Something about like he didn't feel the need to diagnose as a specific thing, like autism spectrum or whatever it is, because really he basically goes through like what are the issues that the kid has, where does the kid need support, no matter what the diagnosis is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was Tara Vance that was on, and Tara said, you know, it might not be important to him
Mm-hmm.
to get that diagnosis, right? Because it makes sense for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, okay, so you're gonna try to find what the sports are, but it makes a difference to the child
Mm-hmm.
because the child will now have this community,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like the community and oh, you and I are alike.
Exactly.
You know, you don't feel like you're like anybody right now.
Exactly.
But it's important to have that sense of community and
Yep.
fellowship. Yeah.
It gives language to their experiences.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have those experiences regardless. They've already have had those experiences, are going to continue to have those experiences because that's who they are. So it gives language to, oh, that's why I was that way, or that's why that happened, or that's why I struggle with this.
And there are other people too that are
exactly
like, yeah.
That there are other people that are just like me that go through the same thing. You know, there are other people that validate who I am and my experiences and accept me for me without having to change at all because they are me. It's a whole community that's reflections of each other. And that feels, especially being autistic where you're constantly invalidated and constantly misunderstood, having that community it's literally like coming home. Like I feel so much better about myself and have so much more confidence and grace with myself because I'm diagnosed autistic. And I'm so happy that I, you know, have even before I got medically confirmed, but once I identified and self-identified as autistic, because self-identification is definitely valid, it was a whole new world. Like I literally cried. I was just like, it makes everything make sense now. It's like I now had an equation where all it was before was just a jumble of all these numbers and everybody else is doing like calculus and I'm over here like I don't get it. Like I don't understand. And then it just made sense. And then it's just like, oh, now I have my own equation and now I can see and now I can thrive. I can actually thrive knowing, you know, my self-perception is one that's much more accurate. And, you know, I don't have to beat myself up for, you know, my executive dysfunction. You know, I don't have to sit there and say, oh my gosh, why can't I just fill out these forms?
Right.
I must be an idiot because I can't fill out basic forms. And now it's just like, oh, my ADD is kicking my ass today. I might need some extra support.
Like, because you're like, you finally stop comparing yourself to like you're over here as like an apple and you're not comparing yourself to an orange.
Exactly.
Like, I get it. I totally get it. Kimberly told me to shut up. And I think it was because I'm looking at him like, whoa. I think it was when I was asking about the parents. And I do want to say, like, I wasn't saying that parents should be like that, but I just know that parents are like that. And I want them to hear from you, you know, I want them to learn from you and hopefully a parent that might be scared, right? Or a parent that might be nervous will see that they're doing more harm by trying to suppress that. And they're harming their child. It's like they're afraid their child's going to get harmed. But by protecting them, trying to protect them from that, you're harming them at home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're all human and we're all human and we all have the programming, you know, of society. So it's not going to necessarily, you know, be easy. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to necessarily make sense right away. And that's okay. Like your feelings are valid, But at the same time, you have to center your child's feelings and you have to prioritize their needs and their wants like you would any other situation because you're the parent. And sometimes that means you have to work through your own shit and figure your own shit out, but still, you know, take the steps and necessary steps and make the effort to listen and empathize and support your child.
Oh, and somebody did say Ross Green's comments on not needing a diagnosis or centering the wrong person's needs. That interview was a little foggy to me because it was like so rushed and like we were on a time constraint, and like I got where he was coming from, and like that so many of the diagnoses are like this kind of like how Asiatu was saying, like, you know, I had this ADHD diagnosis and I had this diagnosis and this diagnosis and this diagnosis, but really you were autistic, right?
Yep.
This whole time. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Caroline was saying, I'm pretty sure he meant from the purposes of filling out the form of unmet needs, not for everyday life. Yeah. But I had missed some comments on that one. And I did want to say, like, yeah, it is important for our kids to be, the diagnosis is not just for school and it's not just for the IEP. It's for, you know, for saying, oh, well, you're autistic.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, like you are autistic and you're artistically made, and that's amazing.
That's a
right?
beautiful, wonderful, amazing thing. Exactly. And there's this whole group of people that are just like you.
Right.
And if I could stress that for any parents on here who have autistic children, like, just the community and that village and that support means so much, and literally just changes, you know, their self-perception in the best and the most positive of ways. So if you can find other autistics that they can, you know, relate to, that they can connect to, that they can engage with, that they can talk to, any which way whatsoever, like that would be amazing.
All right. So tell us about your upcoming book that you're working on that I'm super excited about.
So I'm writing my memoir, and it's going to discuss like the intersectionality of my autism, being AFAB, growing up neurodivergent, of course, being Black, and just my experiences of what that and how it's influenced so much of my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the funny. Definitely gonna be the funny.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. I'm currently looking for a publisher. I have a few more that I want to submit to. I'm still finishing it. So once I finish it, I'll submit it again to other publishers. But yeah, so I'm writing.
You have a lot of book people in here. If you know anybody.
If you know any publishers that are looking to publish specifically, you know, Black experiences, that would be great. Feel free to message me.
For sure.
And I'm also on the podcast.
Yes. Tell me about the podcast. Angelina has already put that link up. Tell us about the podcast.
So it's Audacious Autistics. Audacious.autistics on IG and on Facebook. And we just released our first bonus episode. Well, first episode, but it's bonus episode yesterday, which is on YouTube and Spotify. And this Saturday, we're releasing our first official episode. The one we just released, the bonus episode, is basically getting to know us and our backgrounds, and it's a really just fun conversation that we talked about everything and anything in childhood stuffs. And then the one this Saturday, we're speaking about autism awareness. So, and what that means specifically for us and our experiences, and, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly of our community. So, yeah.
Well, I'll be tuning in for that. And is there like a specific time, or is this like not a live thing?
It's not a live thing. It will be monthly. bonus episodes, exclusives, one-on-one interaction you can find on our Patreon. Audacious.autistics, I believe, as well.
We'll be sure to link that. I think I'm not sure if my mods are still on or not. We'll be sure.
And if Corey, if you're still around, if you want to post the link for our Patreon, that would be great.
That would be great. Somebody said, oh, Renata said, I know a publisher.
Ooh.
Making moves. I would love. I can't wait for the book. Like I just.
I'm excited. Like I've had so many people say that, and I'm so thankful. Thank you for saying that. I've heard that my entire life. People just like, you need to write a book. You need to write a book, and I'm like, I'm writing one now. Find me a publisher.
Do you have a title for it yet?
Yes, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
That's like the hardest thing is the title. I feel like
I think it's my working title thus far is The Audacity of Autism. Or The Audacity of My Autism, and a memoir of a Black AFAB autistic.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
Audacity. I love that word, audacity.
Autastic. I like autastic. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so who is the podcast for? Like, who is your intended audience?
Parents of neurodivergent kids, autistics, people who think that they're autistic, may be autistic or neurodivergent, anybody who's interested in social justice work and equity and being an active, authentic ally, as well as just learning. I think that just about covers it. So yeah, so we talk about everything from astrology, autism, intersectionality, social justice, current events, neurodivergence. So yeah,
all of the things,
everything that makes us us.
Just from our conversation today, I know it will be fantastic. Just from that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just from that. So okay, before we leave, I forgot to tell you this, but you know that I ask all of my guests a final question. Did you know that?
Yes, I do.
I forgot to put that in the email. So if you had one piece of advice for the parents of a newly diagnosed autistic child, what would it be?
Validation. Make sure you do everything in your power for them to feel valid. And that includes support, that includes resources, that includes deprogramming your ableism, which we all have, including myself. It means listening to adult autistics and going to the source.
Coming back to that.
Yes. Being open to learning from the source, not getting defensive, and not trying to tone police or invalidate us. But yeah, just validate them and create a village. Validation and a village. Two V's. Validation and a village. Those are two things that I wish I had growing up. I really wish I had. But I found it in my autistic community as an adult. But it just feels amazing just to be validated and just listen to them. Just listen. just listen. Super, super important. Just listen. Yeah. Validation, village, and listen. Yes. I say ableism is more rampant than racism in society.
What's sneakier?
Yeah, it's because it's all encompassing, like in everything, even just the use of the word crazy. Like there's or stupid, or like that's so stupid, or you're being dumb, or oh my god, that's so crazy. or you're acting crazy. Like, constantly, I hear it all the time, including myself. Like, I have to consciously catch myself and be like, yeah, no, I can't say that. And me realizing how much it's said and noticing other people, like, it's in everything. It's insidious in everything.
I saw a Facebook post one time of like words that you can say without saying like crazy or, you know, ableist words. And so that's why, like, I've been practicing. Like, I have to actually practice these things, because if I don't, like, I mean, so like that's why I say, like, my house is so chaotic right now. Like, it is, you know what I mean? But usually I'd be like, oh my gosh, so crazy. You know?
Exactly.
Because it just rolls off your tongue. You've been saying it all your life, and so
it's everywhere. It's I mean, it's in entertainment, it's in people, it's on social media. And yes, racism is insidious and everywhere, but it's like even Black people are ableist. Like, it just is all encompassing. It doesn't matter who you are, what background you are. It's everybody is ableist. Like, everybody, even people who are disabled, are ableist. Like, I mean, granted, you know, it's internalized ableism, so it's not quite the same because we don't have the power. But yes, we still have to deprogram ourselves. Like, and I say wild a lot. I try to say, instead of crazy, wild. But what people don't realize is you never know who's listening to the words and the language in which you're using. So you don't know who has a diagnosis. You don't know whose child has a diagnosis. So whenever you say, oh my gosh, that's crazy, and you're linking it to something that's negative that's happening in your life, you're perpetuating the stigma. And that stigma is what prevents people from getting help. That stigma is what prevents people from getting support. That stigma is what allows people to isolate themselves, and, you know, some take their own lives. So just keep that in mind, that words matter. And, you know, especially with cluster B, you know, personality disorders of, like, you know, narcissism, borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, all those, like, it's so stigmatized. And the more you stigmatize, you know, just mental health in general, it's stigmatizing for the whole community. And there shouldn't be a hierarchy of, oh, well, you know, this mental illness is acceptable and okay, we'll support them. But these over here, you know, they're beyond help, and, you know, we don't want to deal with them. Like, that's not okay. We're all human. We all have strengths and weaknesses. We all have issues, and we all have struggles. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't get the basics of support and kindness and help.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't want to be hurting other people. They just literally don't know. They've never been taught any different.
Right.
Oh yeah, we are talking about this on our next episode next month.
I'm letting you practice right now. Actually, Caroline, I have compiled these answers. I mean, I'm behind on my YouTubes, but it is there's like a section on my YouTube channel for advice for parents. So like, I'll cut the clip. You know, I do clips for the YouTubes. So like, there's a section for these on my YouTube channel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I'm behind on my YouTube. So.
Oh yes, short bus too. Little or short bus. Yeah, people use that a lot.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
I haven't heard that one lately, which is probably good. But I mean,
I think it's more so kids that I've experienced it, like teenagers.
I feel like it's not as much of a thing right now because the kids don't ride on the short bus anymore. They just don't. I mean, they have regular sized buses now. I feel like that's part of the thing. Like, they don't even know what that even means.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. They'll find something else to use though.
Yeah.
They definitely will. Yeah. Words do have power. It's for sure. Well, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
This has been wonderful and fulfilling as usual. And we're going to have you on again once your book is about to be published so that everybody can go out and buy it. Yeah.
It'll happen.
Oh,
but thank you.
When. I didn't say if.
I'm saying that to myself. I'm just like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But thank you. Happen. I appreciate your confidence.
It's gonna happen. And it's gonna be epic. So if you're still on, tomorrow night we're doing like a impromptu meeting like this with like 4 people from Sincerely Your Autistic Child, which is a book. And while I'm talking, pick 3 numbers between 1 and 110.
Wow.
Pick 3 numbers while I'm talking. Okay. And then next week we have Tiffany Hammond coming on. I know, but you're supposed to be concentrating on the 3 numbers.
I am. I'm thinking.
Tiffany Hammond is from Fidgets and Fries, and I do believe it's going to be an epic conversation. I know that I say that all the time. Yes, Kimberly, that's the 3 numbers for the giveaways. I decided not to write. Usually when I do a giveaway, I write down everybody's name and put them in a box. But I was like, that's going to be too much because we have like 110 comments. So if you pick a number between 1 and 110, I need 3 numbers. I'm giving away 3 books.
Okay. So
the first person is who?
110.
Okay, 110. I'm writing it down. If you were the 110th commenter on that post about where you live, you get a signed copy of Beyond Behaviors, my favorite book. I need an applause thing. There's no applause. there's no applause. Yay! Okay. Woo! 110, you get a signed copy of Beyond Behaviors by Hook, and it's signed by her. Okay, what's the second number?
17.
Number 17. If you're the 17th commenter, you get a signed copy of this book, Autistic and Awesome. It's a really great book. It is by Julian Camacho. I believe that's how you say it. I probably said it wrong. We haven't spoken before, but Julian is non-speaking and wrote this book and is amazing. It is amazing. It kind of has like a The Reason I Jump kind of feel to it because there are shorter things. There's poetry in there, but yeah, it's amazing. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Alfonso Julian Camacho. My hand was in the way. But yeah, okay. So number 17, you get that. All right. What's the third number?
53. Okay,
number 53. If you were number 53, we're going to have to go back and count. I'll go back and count. Somebody said, I don't know what comment I was. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go back and count in the comments. If you were number 53, let me write that down. You get a signed copy of Diego Pena's book, Anatomy of Autism. Diego is also non-speaking and types to communicate, or he spells to communicate, sorry. And this book is very nice. And it has, it's a shorter book, and it has, the foreword is by Ito Kedar, who is also non-speaking and wrote Ito in Autism Land. So you get a copy of this book. It's amazing. Yay, number 53. Okay. All right, so I'll tag those people. Yay!
Yay! Congrats, people.
Oh, Kimberly is on top of things. Oh, never mind. I'll be on top of things. Yes, I will tag the people that won after this. And thank you all for joining us. I will see y'all. It's every Thursday we have a book club meeting. As you notice, you don't have to read anything for the book club meetings. You do not have to prepare. You just have to come and hang with us and talk and listen and all of those things. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Asiatu.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Stay on, and I'm going to end the broadcast.